had sex, wear a condom, take a shower, and have her leave the home. I would call that like a flawless victory. You know, the other day I went to a restaurant and they had a gender neutral bathroom. And I just stood by it and I was confused. And then a man with a wig walked by and he said, your transphobia won't work here. There's one thing that's heavy on my conscience about my youth is how I was with women.
Even if you don't know, or maybe you think that you know everything, there's always going to be someone else that you can learn from.
I never met a middle-class German that said, yeah, we wish we had healthcare like you in the United States. I think after a certain point, money has a diminishing rate of return when it comes to your happiness. That's Alpha King rule number 104. If a bitch isn't willing to take the fall for her man, she a hoe.
We got the one and only Nima, Alpha King, in the building.
Welcome back, brother. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thank
We're
you.
super excited to have you on. And new studio, new setup, new us, right? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. You know, it's like really one of my first podcasts was with you two. So
I remember it was a year and a half, a year and some change, right, Chris?
Quite an honor. Yes, it's been a minute.
and it's crazy because back then you guys were just using one studio, but now you got your beautiful studio. It's
Appreciate
very
that.
impressive.
Appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you. Yeah, so it took a little bit, took a lot of hard work, and we've been here for a little bit over a year now. So now we got a new layout, new setup, so we'll see how it comes out. Hopefully it comes out great, but thank you so much for joining us.
Nice, man. Thank you so much.
How you been? So you live, just to give people a recap, you live in Germany for a lot of time, many months out of the year, right?
Yeah, so I basically, my primary home now is in Germany.
Okay.
And that's largely because my wife was born in Bochum, Germany, northwest Germany.
Right.
Near Dusseldorf. And my daughter was born there. And that way there's, the parents are there, the grandmother's there,
Mm-hmm.
the great-grandmother's there. Like Oma, they say Oma.
Oma, yeah, of course.
In German, grandma.
Yeah.
But then there's, but then there's TikTok Oma. TikTok Oma is great-grandma.
Okay.
So yeah, so we got like so much family, so much cousins, so much aunt. So yeah, that's basically for my daughter. It's just she's so happy. Like even as an infant, when I see her around her cousins, her family, it's so much. It's when you have a daughter
Mm-hmm.
and you see, like, okay, let's say for example, you guys get married, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go live in, like Cleveland, Ohio, or
Yeah.
Raleigh, North Carolina, like another city that's not as popular
Right.
as maybe Miami, and the housing might be lower,
Sure.
but you got a great job to work at home.
Okay.
Let's just say,
Yeah.
but they want you there still.
Yeah.
But then you're alone. Then it's just you and your wife and your kid, and you don't have that family. It's not fair. I feel like if you get a job, you get a job.
Sure.
But if you can be around all that family, that's priceless, man.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say once you have kids, that relationship you have with the grandparents and the siblings and et cetera, is something that is very hard to replace. And you can't really put a price on it either. So, I guess if it works for you, the culture there is definitely a stark difference than Miami and the U.S. in general. So, but if it works, hey, more power to you.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking on the way here. We were talking about like Chris and I on the way here. We're talking about South Beach.
Oh yeah.
And when you're a bachelor living in South Beach, it's when I lived in South Beach as a bachelor coming down from New York, it was like wow. Like I remember coming down here for vacations, for holidays, New Year's Eve.
Sure.
And then to just live here, as a stereotypical New Yorker coming down here.
Kind of, yeah.
Stereotypical New Yorker,
Sure. Yeah.
to the T. Come down here, stay in South Beach. But then when I got married, and I became a father as well, now I feel like I'd rather come out to someplace like this or, further into the city. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Away from like the craziness and all that stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
like this community is pretty family. I can feel it. Like it just feels more family oriented, not It's like a disco nightclub, you know?
Certainly, yeah, definitely different than Miami Beach for sure.
Yeah, you know, like Sunny Isles or something like that, Coral
Sure.
Gables or something like that, like just wherever, man. Just not that South Beach, man.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you, because we've talked about it at dinner on the way, here as well, because you've blown up on social media and in the red pill community, right? You're a big, I guess, inspiration to some. Would you call yourself that, or how has that been for you since the last time we spoke? Because you search red pill, your face kind of comes up in a lot of ways. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because a lot of red pill, I feel like there's a portion of that audience that is, disgusted with me. And then there's a portion of that audience that has embraced me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'd like to think that the smarter part of that crowd has embraced me.
Really?
Yeah, the smarter part of that crowd.
Yeah.
But now I'm 42. I'm married. I have a daughter. But for so much of my life, I was a bachelor, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling me you were single for
Long while.
for many years. And so now, how has that shifted being a family man, a father,
Yeah,
a
what's it
husband?
like being a dad?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good. I get asked this question a lot. And just by like in life.
Yeah.
Like I give you an example. You look at women, not the same. Now I'll give you a great example.
Sure.
Recently, Logan Paul's wife has been getting insulted for basically sleeping around a lot with a lot of men. And guys are attacking Logan Paul for that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember around 2013, my ex-girlfriend was a fashion model in New York, and I would see his now wife at the model castings. In fact, my ex-girlfriend and her would like compete for jobs.
Right.
They knew each other.
Okay.
Well, maybe by face at least
Sure,
they knew each other.
sure.
Maybe they don't want to admit that they knew each other, but they definitely were competing for men jobs, probably whatever. Social circle small.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it that like now when I see her married, I'm happy for her. I'm not gonna be a hater and be like, "Hey, man, well, look what you did 10 years ago."
Right.
Like people evolve, people
Yeah.
grow out of things, and I don't think it's fair. Like I would never, if you look at what I did 10 years ago and what I do now, it's not the same. That being said, how's it feel being a father, especially to a daughter? I'm very remorseful for what I did to women now that I'm a father to a daughter, because when I look at my daughter as a baby, it's like I can't. It's almost like it suffocates me with guilt. It suffocates me.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it suffocates me with the guilt that I harbor for what I did to women when I was younger. Because maybe one day a man would do that to my daughter, and I hope she doesn't pay the price for the things I did. I try to always be polite to women.
Sure.
But I'm sure that there were women that I used for my own sexual purposes, and it was disregarding their emotional desire. And you know what? Now, one day, I have a stake in the future of humanity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like, if I'm encouraging men to really be bad towards women, I guess one of these guys might marry my daughter one day.
Yeah. Do you feel like because you said, well, I became a father, and then I kind of figured out, like, yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have treated a woman the way I did. Is there a way to kind of learn that lesson without having to become a father, right? Because you could make the argument saying, well, so you just had a kid now, and now all of a sudden you say, I should have treated a woman differently. Is there a way to prevent that, from ever even happening?
It's a tough question, though, because many will say that experience is almost your best teacher. It's almost like once you do it, because that's why it kind of hits closer to home now, because you used to do it. But if you never did, how do you think that you can compare that then?
Yeah, it's the thing is, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I probably had, I think about it a lot, a sex addiction. I think that I was very addicted to sleeping around with women. And I don't think I could have gotten enough. I don't think I was mature like you two are at 30. Like when it's crazy. I went to the bathroom a few minutes ago. We were at a Spanish restaurant here in Miami.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I really I said, I really admire Marvin and you because you two are so conscientious about your health.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily admire young men who make a lot more money than I did when I was younger. I admire men that are like, I'm going to take care of myself at a young age.
Yeah.
Rather than you get sick in you get your 40s or 50s or 60s.
Sure.
And then you start thinking like, dang, why did I do this in my 20s and 30s?
Yeah.
As you pay the price later. You know, the bill for that behavior is due.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have the maturity, man. I didn't have the maturity to be able to just do some of the things. I was selfish. You know, it was selfish for me to just tell a girl, come over. It was selfish for me to just go over a girl's home, in particular. Like I'm saying, to be specific.
Sure.
Be in New York, I was throwing parties. Maybe there was a girl that maybe wanted to date me. Maybe I just go there, you know, tap that ass,
Sure.
and then just go home. And maybe it hurt her that's all I did. And I used to pride myself, in fact, in women coming over, and then within 30 minutes, you know, I had sex, wear a condom, take a shower, and have her leave the home. And I would call that like a flawless victory, you know, like a Navy SEAL conducting a mission. And then I'd get back to work or something, you know. But now I feel bad because now I got a daughter, and I don't want another man to do that to my daughter because this shit would just torture my soul.
Right. Yeah. Like, fuck. You know, we have all done fucked up things, you know, and so things that we aren't proud of. And so now in hindsight, I don't have a daughter. I don't have I don't have kids. So it's hard. So that's why I kind of figured, let me ask you, because you're in that position. You have a baby girl who's less than a year, right? You know, and so, and down the line, not too far in the future, you might have to have those conversations with your daughter, you know, like who to date, who not to date, who to stay away from. And maybe she'll be attracted to guys who kind of remind you of a younger version of you. And you're going to be like, fuck, you know, but there's only so much you can do as a parent.
Yeah, there really is, man, and it's heavy on my conscience. If there's one thing that's heavy on my conscience about my youth is how I was with women, and now that I have a daughter, if I didn't have a daughter, probably not. But
Really?
I do.
Yeah.
And this is my reality.
Yeah, but if anything, I mean, let's look at the glass half full here.
Yeah.
You're now more aware of what could happen and what's possible. Because sometimes women, I feel like they're a little bit naive, or they just kind of don't realize the man's intention sometimes. And we've all kind of done our wrongdoings, you know, back then. And we know like the lies and the games that we would play. And now in hindsight, like now since we have this podcast, right now we're in really healthy relationships, including you as well. Like I look back and I'm like, wow, I feel like such a piece of shit just for what I used to do. And that's, I don't even have a kid yet. But again, now at least you have, like, you're aware, you know, now you're able to kind of coach and guide your daughter in a sense of how you would want her to be raised as to what to look for in a man. Now, not to who you used to be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You guys just fucking nailing it, man.
So we're like having a little wake-up call for him right now. No, but you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I mean, so you're talking about like, you know, when I was, you know, thinking like this, you know, I wasn't always the calm-mannered intellectual that you see before you today.
Sure.
You know, I used to be pretty wild and rambunctious, and but I've since grown.
Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend once, and I would just do things, and I would do things that would risk putting her in trouble. And you know, I knew it was wrong. And once the police came over, and they asked her, you know, did she have any knowledge of the incident? She denied having any knowledge of the incident. I can't do this with Marvin, man.
What?
Marvin, bro, it's killing me, man.
Why?
Marvin, bro, you're killing me, man.
Whoa.
Marvin, bro.
What?
That's the first time I laughed. Like, Marvin's face so innocent, man. It's fucking killing me.
Yeah, he's like really into this.
Yeah, man. No, but seriously, I really wasn't always, but really, I wasn't always this calm-mannered intellectual you see before you today.
Right.
I really was wild and rambunctious when I really did grow out of it.
Right.
So yeah, so I had a girlfriend, and I would do things that would put her at risk of getting in trouble. Um, and I didn't, and I knew it was wrong. Once the police came and they said to her, you know, do you know what's going on with this incident that I actually created? She told the police that she didn't have any knowledge of the incident. That night, I dumped her ass. And I think if she was a good woman, she would have taken the fall for me. And that's actually Alpha King rule number 104. This guy, dude. No, I'm sorry. It is.
Okay.
If a, you know, but really, that's Alpha King rule number 104. If a bitch isn't willing to take the fall for her man, she a hoe.
Oh shit!
I can't throw it. He's so innocent.
I
waiting for it.
I had a lot of ways how this conversation could have ended. That her being a hoe, I did not anticipate that. I didn't anticipate that for sure.
I can't. I had to just, I just like we're talking about this. I'm like, fuck, man, I got to do something here, man. I can't let this opportunity fly, bro. You guys fucking.
I'm following you. No,
Thank you.
I
That
like
was
it.
so good.
No,
I owe you guys the assist on that one. You know, we can do this all. Fuck, man, you guys are good, man.
But you it was smooth. You I see how you doing what you do.
Yeah, you've been having a lot of Alpha King moments lately, huh?
But that was like you guys gave me. It's like you gave it to me.
We did.
How could I not fucking do it?
I guess.
Let me ask you because you the whole Alpha King, like the persona. Obviously, you're a successful businessman. You have a lot of things going on. You don't have to be on social media. What is the goal for you? You know, some people, they watch your stuff. It's very it's extravagant. You're very bold. You're very loud. You know, why do you do what you do? That because you don't really need to. You don't need to be on social media.
He's got love for it though. Well, not for social media, but the
Yeah.
art.
Yeah, I really do. And you know, if I were to delete all my accounts with my name on it,
Yeah.
I would still be fine as an entrepreneur. That's the
Right.
that really is the reality. And I think because of that, I have I am like people are like, you know, like if I had money, I wouldn't do the XYZ. I think after a certain point, money has a diminishing rate of return when it comes to your happiness. Unless it's a pursuit that brings you a lot of happiness and it happens to make you a lot of money. That can coexist. You do something you love and it makes you a lot of money. But it could also be that you do something you love and it doesn't make you a lot of money.
True.
Right? You know, so like for example, let's just say, for example, Obama likes to play basketball. Trump likes to play golf. They don't make money, but they love doing it. Right? Or let's just say Joe Rogan loves doing a podcast, but he makes money.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the people who have careers and they do this in the evening,
Yeah.
to me, I think that's like, oh man, that person loves it. You know?
Yeah.
They want to make money from it, but they really love it. And they can withstand. I remember, man, like this is one of my first podcasts was with you guys. Now you guys did over 130. You know, that's love.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine. Someone says to me, Marvin and Chris don't love this. I'd say, nah, I don't know everything about them, but I know they love this.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have a great amount of respect and love and dedication for this. You know, having these conversations, meeting people, connecting, whether that's you, whether that is someone completely different who doesn't even agree with us. The fact that we can have conversations, have dialogues, they have made me a better man. I feel like sure have made you a better man too. So that is a great privilege that we have. Yeah, we might not make fucking a lot of money on this, right? Yet. But we are definitely enriching ourselves in experiences and knowledge and different perspectives as well, you know?
Yeah, and also building a network, but But yeah, I think with all the conversations that we have, I mean, we've even had one with Larry, which is your neighbor. He's one of our photographers that he's helped us out. He's amazing, and he used to be really into photography a while back, and then he kind of gave it up. And I think now he's trying to like really get back into it. Remember when we had done an Imperial Moto?
Yep, correct.
We did like this, like kind of like this, and it was at a coffee shop, and he just came to help us, with some pictures, to help us with setup, with the lighting. And he goes to us, he goes, I gave up my photography. And I guess because I wanted to monetize, like I wanted it to be something, but it never was. Yet I see you guys 3 years later from when you guys first started your podcast. And I know that you guys aren't really cashing in on this, yet you still show up day after day, consistently, week after week with episodes. It's like that kind of consistency, that kind of discipline, that kind of love and passion you have for it. I feel like I lost that. And seeing you guys do the podcast, it's almost bringing that back to me now.
Yeah.
And then when he said that to me, I'm like, damn, because we really do this because we do love it.
Yeah.
We do this because we want to learn. We want to be better individuals, better men.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then we're blessed that we get opportunities to have gentlemen like yourself, as well as other professors and intellectuals, and maybe they're just random OnlyFans stars, porn stars. We get everybody.
Yeah, we do.
But everyone has a story, and we're able to kind of chip away, which allows us to develop. And that's kind of the message that we want for everyone else who watches us, where it's like, even if you don't know, or maybe you think that you know everything, there's always going to be someone else that you can learn from. And that's kind of the conversation that we create here. And we're passionate about that. And that's what we chase after.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, that's great.
But with your Alpha King,
Great,
is that
this makes sense.
What about for you then?
Yeah, for me,
you were talking to us earlier about love for comedy and the arts, and I see that. I feel like that's where it's going into, right?
Yeah, I love creating. Similar to you guys, I love creating. I love creating something out of nothing. I love creating something out of nothing. That actual process of creating something out of nothing. For example, this was an empty room. Right?
Yeah, literally.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
You two came in here and you created something out of nothing. I respect people who create something out of nothing. Not to say I don't respect the people who don't. I respect everybody, but I think there's something to be said about people who just like to create.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the actual creating part of it. And I think that part of it, if I didn't love it, I don't know if I would do it, because I don't think there's enough money in social media. If I really wanted to make just money, I would just stick in private equity. Because I think in private equity, the biggest private equity guys make way more than the biggest social media influencers.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity cost for me focusing on social media. I figure I lose money doing Alpha King Nima, to be honest. Maybe one day I make money, but even then I think I lose it.
But you don't think, because then let's look at an example of like a Grant Cardone. You're familiar with him? He uses social media to literally explode his brand, which is himself.
Yeah.
With, multimillionaire now to a billionaire, real estate investor. He has a whole team, owns everything at this point. So he uses social media as a platform to kind of get his name out there, which I guess, I don't know if that builds him more credibility.
But that guy's everywhere, he's everywhere on social media, so maybe that helps. No?
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, people, like, I guess more people will recognize him. They see him. So then they learn about him. Maybe they want to either work for him, invest with him, give him their money, see what, so maybe that's the angle with social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about influence in your real life. I mean, any business you two start, you can always say, look at my podcast, look at my YouTube, look at my TikTok, look at to the person who's not in this, it's very impressive, right? If you're working on any sort of deal, I mean, you guys could take this and start a bunch of businesses just with what you've already done here. I mean, the competency that you've shown, the authority you've established, just the sheer credibility, track record for marketing. If I had a company and I wanted to do marketing, guys came up to me and I got a $50,000 budget for what I want to spend in the next 3 months, and I'm a local business and I have no idea how social media works, or the last guy I had didn't do well, and then, let's say hypothetically, guys like you came, be way more likely to work with you guys, especially if that wasn't something I wasn't doing, because I would be like, all right, well, what do these guys do? These guys got a studio, they got this. Wow. So I didn't have opportunities to make money like this online when I was 18 or even 30.
Yeah.
Like what you guys have now at 30, I didn't have. I didn't have this opportunity of like, oh, I got this smartphone. I can just go on the internet,
Right.
fuck around, and just make money.
True.
You know, I don't, man. I like it. It's still true. I have my old phone that I did my first TikTok with in Germany during the lockdowns, and I still have that phone. I don't won't throw that away.
Yeah.
And I like to use it for social media stuff too. Not always, but occasionally.
Yeah.
And one reason why I don't have a phone number or anything with it, but I just like it, sentimental.
Sure.
And it's because it reminds me of like, yo, like you can go viral with this little thing. Like this little thing can make you money. This little thing can make you money. This little thing can get you in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
You just never know. Like, I mean, just think about it, bro. Like the last podcast we did, it didn't go viral like 55 million people. Let's be honest, it didn't go 500 million people didn't watch it or give a fuck. But at least 400,000 people saw a couple of those clips. I remember. It was like one clip, two clips that.
Yeah, we had some viral clips.
There was one, it was your experience in Germany and stuff like that. They're very well.
I mean, still imagine that's like a TV show, man.
Yeah.
True,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like the biggest selling TV show, but that's a TV show.
No,
300,000. People saw it. So
not a Game of Thrones, but
yeah,
something.
Yeah, we were talking about I think healthcare in Germany and the United States.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the comments were like, they came for you. They didn't agree. I remember, and it's like, how many times have you spent in Germany? How long have you been there? And it's like, probably never, And so you are on the ground. You see it for yourself. I don't know why people have trouble getting people's personal experiences.
So this is like one thing that I'll say. So I'm going to come from the ignorant side because this is what I've been told because I really don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so they'll say, and they mentioned Spain as the country for reference. But I guess I'm assuming everyone in Europe kind of has a similar kind of viewpoint. But you guys correct me if I'm wrong. They're basically saying, well, yes, they have, healthcare over there. That's great. But in order for you to actually get that type of healthcare, you're going to have to wait like months because everybody can get the healthcare as opposed to in the US, if you have insurance, you don't have to wait. You can just go to whatever doctor you want and do whatever procedure you need rather than in European countries, you kind of have to wait in line at this point. Does that sound like?
Do you want me to go first or?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So from what I haven't lived in Germany in quite a while, but obviously I have friends, I have close people on the ground. And even from my personal experience back in the days, you've never had to wait to go to the doctor, to go to a specialist. My grandma had cancer for many years, and she what?
No, because you guys are the same. No,
She's had cancer for many years, and she never got a bill. She never had to wait for a specialist. She never had to.
She got immediately.
Like it's that the whole concept, the whole notion of you have to wait months online because the quality everybody gets it, so it's diminished.
Free.
Yeah. I think it's a big fallacy. I think it's maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never experienced that. I've never known anybody who had that experience where you can go. You do still have private insurance, right? So it's not like private insurance doesn't exist. There's wealthy people who can afford it, and they might be able to see certain specialists or whatever. But generally speaking, you have immediate access to doctors, physicians, dentists, and all kinds. It's just that's just how it is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I think that is one of the biggest lies. You say biggest lies, like people say, what are the biggest lies? That is one of the biggest lies that Americans have been fooled. That in Germany, it's going to take you, or Canada, it's going to take you.
Yeah, they said that too, Canada.
8,000 years before you get seen for your heart attack. I mean, they're using the most extreme examples. As someone who lives in Germany, my daughter was born in Germany. I get health care now in Germany. My health insurance is in Germany. My wife's health insurance, my whole family, with my family I provide. So you're talking to an American who has health insurance in Germany for his wife, his daughter, and himself, who's seen healthcare. His daughter was born in Germany, and I've seen healthcare in the United States. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I'm not talking about someone like me with my income. I'm talking about someone with a working class income, middle class income. In the United States, they're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
they're just getting ripped off. And it's astonishing because even the person that's working class in the United States, middle class, if they go to Germany, in Germany, yes, you have private health insurance, but even the person who's working for $30,000 a year, they can still go and get an appointment with the best doctor specialist in that field for their particular illness. Now, is it possible that that particular specialist is packed? Yeah, that's possible in any country, right? But they can still get the money to go and see that specialist.
Yeah.
So, for example, your grandma, or let's just say, even if it's something happened to me or my daughter, even if you don't spend a lot of money, your health care, well, first of all, I mean, this is such a good point. Like in Germany, you have to have health care. It's first of all, it's a law.
Yeah, by law.
By law. So, for example, you cannot be an employee at a company and they are somehow wiggle out of making sure you have health care. It's just illegal. So the baseline is it's illegal. Now, what's the other benefit of this? First of all, the food's healthier, less sugar in Germany, for example, than the United States. They regulate the food. You look at a Coca-Cola in the United States, you look at a Coca-Cola in Germany. The Coca-Cola in the United States is just filled with disgusting stuff. Germany, I'm not saying it's something, it's like green juice, but it's a lot healthier. Then
less shit.
Yeah. Then, or look at all the food. Even Whole Foods now is packing their foods. You go look at a trail mix at Whole Foods, and you're seeing a bunch of chemicals and sugar in it. Fucking trail mix, bro.
Added sugar, fucking 20 grams. You got to look at everything these days.
Yeah. You know, but think about it. Like the healthcare, the sick care is it's like people call it sick care. It's true in the United States, bro. Because think about it. The grocery store is packing all the chemicals, all the white sugar.
Yeah.
Then you get sick. And once you get sick, of course, the pharmaceutical industry is making a profit. A big hospital is making a profit. Big food already made a profit. I mean, just think about it. Like how
all of business.
Yeah.
And just think, but just think like of course, it's set up against this middle class person to get sick, and then when they get sick, to stay sick and keep getting stuff, and they get bankrupt. Now in Germany, when everyone gets health care, well, now it's another story. I feel like at that point the government has a stake in, let's take care of our people a little bit, man, because we're going to have to pay for the cost of these. Now, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not an economist, but I think that there's something to be said. When everyone has health care, I feel like there's more of an investment in the future of that person's life.
That's a fair assessment, actually.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
For sure. I love that you kind of share your perspective on it. And a big misconception, healthcare in Germany is not free. In fact, it's actually a considerable amount.
Yes.
You pay, as the individual pays, the employer will pay a portion of it, sometimes even up to half, if I'm not mistaken. So, but it's, again, what you're saying, it's a collective effort, right? So the employer that you work for, they will pay. You as an individual will pay. But then if something happens, nobody ever, copay is there's no copay, from what I understand. Like you go, and I've never been to a doctor or to a dentist, and they were like, oh, there's a copay. That it just doesn't exist. So yeah, you do pay taxes, you do pay health insurance, but then when something happens, or even just preventive care, going to a doctor, going to a dentist, you don't pay anything, and you do get good service, quality service.
So let me ask you then: does income for the medical field, does it differ in Germany as opposed to the U.S., since it seems like it's less for profit as it is here?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I could imagine the answer is yes. But I will say this much. I've never met someone. You tell me.
Sure.
I live in Germany. You lived in Germany. I never met anyone in Germany, which is the richest country in Europe, the most powerful economy in Europe by far. They have billionaires there. It's not a communist country. It's not a socialist country. They have capitalism there. Okay, you have billionaires there. You have a high standard of living there. You have amazing technology there. Okay, you have less homelessness there than you do here in the United States. You have less violent crime here than you do in the United States. Anyone can go to college. Anyone can get excellent healthcare, not mediocre healthcare, excellent technology, excellent doctors in Germany. Okay, now you compare that to here in the United States. I mean, man, it's
That's a
apples.
different world.
It's like criminal.
Yeah,
It's a
I
different
never,
world.
I never met a German that said, yeah, I never met a German that said to me, and I have a home there. Yeah, we admire the healthcare system in the United States.
Yeah,
A middle class one,
yeah.
a middle class. I never met a middle class German that said, yeah, we wish we had healthcare like you in the United States. They may say, oh, I wish I could play basketball like LeBron James. They-
NBA and I mean the NBA.
Yeah.
Is like, sure.
Yeah, or like like they may love to wear Ralph Lauren polo shirts. You know what I'm saying? But I never heard a middle class German say, "Yeah, I wish we had healthcare like you guys do in the United States." Never, not one. Have you?
No. It doesn't exist.
To them, it's crazy that we have it the way we do. And the biggest lie is that every German is a communist or a socialist, or they're promoting it's failed. It's going to fail in society.
Yeah.
It's not going to fail.
No.
It's not failing there. And then someone's hold on before.
Yeah.
Then someone's going to say in the comment section, "Oh yeah, but their inflation's high," or they're going to say, "Oh yeah, but their unemployment high." You can make all the things you want. Every country has problems. I'm not saying it's utopia,
Of course.
but at least everyone can get high quality healthcare.
100%. And none of those countries, whether that is Germany, Sweden, Finland, Norway, none of those are socialist countries. They have social. It's people don't understand. They're capitalistic societies with a blend of social programs, welfare systems where people pay into them and they reap those benefits. Now, one of the reasons is why they can do this is because their military budget is obviously not as big, so they have more money to fund a lot of these social programs. It's just the reality of it, right? I did want to mention just one last thing on that, the whole Germany part of it. The one downside, I think, to Germany and a lot of countries in Europe, I've talked to a lot of people from Spain, people from other countries in Europe, the potential earning income is, in a way, capped, where unless you come from a really good family, unless you happen to be in a very successful field, a very small percentage of the population makes a lot of money. Most people, they will make maybe 30,000 euros, 40,000 euros, and that'll be how much they'll make until they retire. However, that money allows them to live still very comfortably. You don't need to make $100,000 to be successful. Here, everybody's like, "Oh, $100,000, you can become successful. You can live comfortable." No, you can live comfortable in Germany with 30,000 euros. 30,000 euros in some cities in Germany, they're actually doing pretty well. Yeah. Just because the cost of living, your expenses aren't as high, the quality of life overall is just better, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the comparison that when I had asked you the other
Yeah.
day in the text, it almost feels like you can make a lot more here in the U.S., but then there's a lot more competition in the sense where you have these very drastic extremes of quality of life, whereas maybe in Europe or in Germany, you may not have these extremes of income, or maybe to a certain degree there is.
Yeah, sure.
But at least everyone they can enjoy even if they don't make enough money.
Correct.
Or if that's even a thing in Germany.
Yeah, like you there's people really like here, like we talk about all the time, like you have to work 50, 60 hours, 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to get by.
Right,
in
right.
Germany, that's not really like a thing. You correct me if maybe you have a different version of it.
I think you're nailing it.
Yeah, because people it's rather hard for people to have 2 jobs. Like you don't really see that unless they're working on something else maybe, but you don't need to work 50 hours a week, 45 hours a week slaving yourself at a job that you hate just to have a good quality of life. So I always tell people, and it's not for everybody. Some people don't want to go to the US. They want to live here and they want to become millionaires, and there is potential to become very successful in the US. And I feel like that potential may not be as high as maybe living in Germany if you were to do so.
Is there less opportunity?
I just think
What's
there's a lot of regulation. There is a lot of regulation.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
true.
lot of entry
regard to
barriers.
what?
Let's say you want to open up a store. You want to open up your own business. You got to file the X amount of paperwork and do this and comply with these regulations. So a lot of these regulations that keep Germans safe and ensure a good quality of life, they can also damp some of the progress that some people want to make. And unless you disagree. So I think it's a blend, and you have to work with what you got, and you have to listen to yourself. Is this the life that I want to live? I think for most people, that kind of life is probably preferable. I'd rather make 30,000 euros a year, live comfortably, have my 8 weeks a year paid vacation, have my paternity leave, have my maternity leave, have my sick, all these benefits that I can reap from the government, from my employer. I'd rather take that than coming to the U.S., even making $70,000, $80,000, but being miserable because I have to work so much. So there's no one country that's best for everybody, right? It just depends what your personal goals are and your aspirations and how you like to live your life.
Yeah, that guy that makes the $30,000 in Germany, the guy that makes $30,000 in Germany, yeah, you look at it, you're like, man, but first of all, the housing's probably a lot less. So that's a lot of money they save.
Right, yeah.
And uh, and then when the healthcare is added, let's say the employer is paying for half the healthcare, let's say by law, or something like that, by law. So they don't have that stress of like, all right, I'm one chronic illness away from medical bankruptcy.
Sure.
Any one of us can wake up. You wake up, all of a sudden, you're scratching yourself nonstop. You find out you got a chronic illness. You wake up, you find out you got nausea every day. You got headache every day. Now you got a chronic illness. You wake up, there's an issue with your stool or urine. Now you got a chronic illness for the rest of your fucking life. And there are a lot of Americans that have chronic illnesses. And that adds a stress. Now imagine if you get a chronic illness, your wife gets a chronic illness, or let's say your parents-in-law get a chronic illness. Mm-hmm. In Germany, there is something to be said about the people collectively in society have a security blanket of if we get sick, hey, we're gonna know where to go. Now, you want to talk to me about are there problems in the healthcare system in Germany? Yeah. Maybe the nurses aren't as great occasionally. Maybe you have a bad nurse that you have a relative there in the hospital, a person shitting in their pants in the bed, and the nurse didn't come and change their diaper. Yeah, you're going to have maybe a situation like that. Is it fucked up? Yeah, it's wrong. But overall, do you have innovation despite the regulation in Germany? You got a lot of innovation in Germany. Germany is a highly innovative country, despite all that regulation and protecting the consumer and the society. You still have such an inventive group of people. And then, in addition to all that, you still have excellent doctors, very well-trained doctors. So, yeah, I'm not saying, yeah, you may have a wait. If it's something that's not an emergency, you may have a wait. Maybe it is 3 weeks. Yeah, it's not perfect. About 83 million people. But can you compare that with the stress? Okay, you got to wait 3 weeks. But you're going to go get tested when you got a chest pain.
Right. We had talked about that earlier.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So, like, you'll go to the doctor. Your chest doesn't feel good for, like, 3 weeks. Ah, man, something's not feeling right.
And instead of waiting those 3 weeks.
Or you're scared to go. Because you're scared to go because you find out all of a sudden you have a heart illness. And by the way, heart disease is #1 killer in America. If people are scared of cancer, heart disease can kill you. It's #1 killer. You get a heart issue, you got a chronic illness, let's say. You're scared to go. You're going to get a $50,000 bill, bro. Let's say you only make $50,000. That's going to knock you out, right? Not to mention, you don't go. You don't go. 6 months later, it gets so bad. Now you're facing medical bankruptcy. Now you're facing literally bankruptcy. And not to mention, your wife may lose her husband. Your 2 kids may lose a dad. And your mother, who's in her 70s, now may have to watch her son die. Get your fuck. Right? But the same guy in Germany, the wife says to the husband, hey, you got to go get checked. And he's like, I know I do. I'm going to go. Because if he gets an illness, hey, man, he's covered. Yeah, maybe they ain't changed his fucking diapers. Maybe the nurse was a little bit rude, but at least he got good technology, good doctors, and good treatment. At least he's alive.
Yeah.
And at least he went earlier and got checked. At least he didn't lose his home.
Right.
At least he's going to live another 10 years. He's going to die. We'll all die. But you know what? He lived another 10 years. 4 years later, his mom dies. But at least he was there to be a pallbearer at his mother's funeral. At least he was there in the last 48 hours of his mother's life. At least the last 4 years of his mother's life, in her 70s, she didn't have to watch her fucking son die. It's a glorious thing, I think, if you can watch your parents die, because what's the alternative? Them watching you die?
That's true.
I'm a father.
Yeah.
You know,
Ugh.
now I'm a father now. I think,
Ugh.
I think now, I'm telling you, I think now, man, if I die, my daughter has to watch me die. That's normal.
That is normal.
But if when my daughter coughs or something, and I think my daughter went to the doctor for her heart, everything came out fine. But I remember how scared my wife and I were, because if something happened to her, oh my gosh, I would rather die than watch my daughter die. So imagine for your parents to watch you die. It is a luxury, man. My attitude's changed now to see, hey, I was there the last days of my mom and dad's life. A lot of men actually that are sad and depressed. I saw something once and it hit me, because I said, there are a lot of guys that suffer mentally, psychologically, their mental health. But then they can think about their family and they can push through, right? I respect those guys that don't commit suicide and push through. I respect them, because at least they're saying, you know what? I am sad, but I'm going to push, because I got a son and a daughter. I got a wife. I got a mom. I got a dad. I got a father-in-law. I got a mother-in-law. I got to push to take care of these people that are older than me and younger than me. Because if I go down, all of them are going to suffer.
Yeah.
That's selfless love, bro. That's intensity of love. A lot of men suffer, man.
Yeah, I don't think they get enough credit for
Yeah.
the responsibility of that, and almost like the
burden?
stress that they put on themselves. Because even sometimes for me, like I wish that my girlfriend didn't have to work. I wish that I could provide, and that's kind of why I work. I want to make sure that she's gonna have a roof over her head and she's gonna be safe, and we can build a family. And I want to make sure that they can count on me. And it almost feels like, every day, like with how difficult it is and how expensive things are getting, like we have to work harder, get more creative, get innovative in order for us to really succeed, at least in this country, right? We're talking about the U.S. and we have to.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to have that grinding
The
kind of
hustle,
mindset,
yeah,
hustle
yeah.
nonstop. And you're kind of fearful, because then we talk about how stress, because at this point I'm just stressing myself out
Facts.
about the future that it's not even here. The future's not even real. I mean, we only have the present, really. And then I don't know. It's just it gets a little bit scary, because then we get really into our heads, and then what else can we do?
You mentioned something about as men. I'm just curious, and I just curious what you both think about this.
Sure.
Like legitimately curious.
Yeah.
So I did this podcast with this guy who said that women shouldn't vote and women shouldn't go to
I think I
college.
saw something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say his name because
Sure,
I don't
sure.
want to promote this kid.
Right.
But so I asked both of you, if a woman won't go to war as a soldier, right? Should she be permitted to vote?
Why isn't she going to war? Because she can, or because she doesn't have to? You referring to what
Well,
do you
His
mean?
majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, because most women, like they're not. Like if you go into like a household and like, hey, we need one of you guys to go to war. Who's it gonna be?
It's gonna be me.
So
Do I
the-
think my
so the-
girlfriend should be disqualified from voting because I'm the one who's going to war? No, I don't think so. I don't think she should. I think there's a difference between men and women, and I feel like if shit hits the fan, I think the man got to step up. Does that mean that women shouldn't be able to, vote or have certain rights just because they may be physically weaker or they may not go to war? I don't think so. I think they're adults. You pay taxes. You deserve to be represented by fellow politicians, right? And so they work for you, in theory, right? And then, I mean, whatever, we can argue about that. It's a different discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're an adult. You pay taxes. You deserve to vote. You deserve to have a voice. Saying, "Oh, women shouldn't vote." I think that's such a stupid topic. It's just a stupid way of thinking. Like, why wouldn't you want women to vote? Are they less qualified? Are they not eligible to vote because of why? I don't agree with that. I don't know, I'm curious to see.
Yeah,
your-
yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, I feel like we both men and women work in kind of in a cohesive fashion.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't do the same thing. So maybe I'll go to war, but that doesn't mean that just because she's not at war, she's not providing some other value within I guess,
Our society.
society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the strongest man has a very strong woman by his side. You know, kind of trusting him and leading while you kind of have her as your backbone, there as support, and to now strip away a right for like toward the woman when without them, I feel like men wouldn't have kind of the drive. Like here, we were just talking about how like my purpose is like I want to work hard because I want to provide for my girlfriend. At that point, you know, like that's my purpose, and that's what drives me. So I feel like without her, I wouldn't be the man that I am. Without her, I wouldn't be the man to step up to go to war, to protect. You know, it's because of her. So with that,
She also may give you a reason to go to war and fight. What are you fighting for, right? Maybe to have a life with this said woman. So yeah, I don't. Yeah.
but then again, that's my purpose though, because we're also in relationships. Do you think maybe a single man would have the same response? What's your take? Give us the background of where this question is coming
Yeah.
from.
I mean, you know, I think that I think that a woman, if a woman, we do have. I think Marvin made a good point. We do have women that serve in the armed forces.
Sure.
So yeah, I do think they should have an ability to vote. I mean, they definitely pay taxes, even if they don't go. Women are paying taxes. A woman that works is paying taxes. So I figure if she's paying taxes, then she should have a right to vote. But even if she's not paying taxes, she's a mother and she's raising children. She should still, and she's in a supporting role in that sense of the breadwinner, and that her husband is paying taxes. Again, she should be permitted to vote. I like the idea of being in a society where women are considered equal as men.
I don't understand that whole, yeah. Like it's I have such
Sort of crazy conversation we're having.
I
here.
know. It's like oh, we
So
said
the fact that we're actually having to break this down a little bit.
As three guys.
should a woman vote? Like what year is this? 2023, dude. Fuck.
Shit, man.
Dude, it's just like and it brings great question. Well, it's not a great question. It's a very obvious one. It's sad that we have to talk about it, but it kind of takes us back to a really good conversation that we can dive into and further explore, because there's so much toxic stuff online and social media, and you did a segment with somebody, I don't want to name it
Yeah.
either, and it's a
Or her.
woman. It's a woman, and she has all her takes are very much anti-woman, right? And you sat down with her.
And it's also a very similar viewpoint as well of the voting. As
Yeah,
well. I think
like
she has a very similar
she
viewpoint.
said women shouldn't be able to vote. Women should stay at home. They should listen to their husband. X, Y, and Z.
Like,
and
oh,
I'm
I don't want to vote. Like, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
So then, if you don't want to vote, then don't vote. Don't speak for millions of other women just because you feel a certain way of. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's even somewhat hypocritical, because there you are, you're speaking. Why are you speaking? You're a woman, right? That you stay at home, make a sandwich. Why are you married? You're a woman, right? You say women should be at home and listen to their husband. Go home, listen to a man, tell him that, and have him tell you what to do. But you're not even doing that. You're here talking, making money, right? Making a living, but you want to tell other women that they shouldn't? I don't know. So, I mean, this kind of brings up a whole conversation about this whole, almost, I don't want to say anti-woman, but there's a very strong push towards women and pushing them further away. And I just don't understand where that's coming from.
Finding the right woman, like the way he was saying about finding, how a woman motivates him.
Sure.
Finding the right woman now, I mean, we're talking about women, like just finding the right woman. I mean, it's just, the world is just crazy right now, right? Like we could talk about, we got gender neutral bathrooms. Should women vote? Should women go to school? Like, are we, like, is this 2023? We're talking about gender neutral bathrooms and
Yeah.
should women vote or not? Should women go to school? I mean, these are like legitimate conversations we have. Are aliens really coming down?
Yeah.
Was that an alien? Like these conversations are becoming more and more fucking real, man.
But think about like an alien coming here and listening to these conversations. They're like, oh, 2023, they're talking about bathrooms and switching genders and whether one gender should have more rights than the other. What type of society is it that we want to live in? And I feel like social media, in a way, has kind of made a lot of things. It's a great tool, but for a lot of people, it has given the wrong people
A
too much
platform.
in too much of a voice, right?
Liberty, yeah.
Every asshole with a microphone has an opinion that they think needs to be spewed out to the world, and a lot of times that's maybe not the case, right? You know, maybe we don't need to hear your bullshit.
It's just scary because there's like there is people that believe in that also, or like they agree. with
Yeah.
that. So when you see a collective, it also, for me, it's like a head scratcher because I hear someone say something that just doesn't make any sense. A lot of these like gender stuff, or they were talking about co-ed bathrooms, all these things. But then there's still an army of people to support that side, and that's where I get very concerned.
Yeah. You know, the other day I went to a restaurant and they had a gender neutral bathroom. And I just stood by it and I was confused. And then a man with a wig walked by and he said, your transphobia won't work here. I spit in his face
No.
and I said, how about now? The LGBTQ community thinks everything is transphobic. I was just confused. You hermaphrodite? And that's actually Alpha King rule number 189, which states not everyone is a bigot. Just be patient, explain the situation, think the best of people.
That's a very what rule is that?
Alpha King 189. We gotta
189.
pay
Yeah.
attention. Come on, man.
I just want to double
You gotta
check.
write them down.
Yeah. By the time you gotta give us some notes so we can write it down.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is, man, is like it is pretty confusing between the gender neutral bathrooms we have. I mean, if you were to say, what year is this? You know, like this is a year we're talking about.
What planet is this?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense anymore.
Yeah, because I mean, I've lived 42 years. If someone were to say to me, if you were to just say to me, like, we're not going to tell you what year it is, but we're just going to let you listen to a few things.
Yeah.
Are women allowed to vote? You know, are women able to go to school? Should they?
Do aliens exist?
Do aliens exist? What's a gender neutral bathroom? Can you identify yourself as a cat?
Oh, we did talk about that one. Yeah, you said that.
Right? Like the video.
I saw the video, yeah.
Right? So, like, this is 2023, man. I never remembered this sort of conversation in the mainstream.
Never happened.
What a time to be alive.
Do these type of conversations, do you feel like this is something that's unique to the U.S. or
I was going to ask the
or
same.
from
Does
Germany?
this exist in Germany?
From your experience?
Yeah, Germany's pretty liberal.
They're very progressive.
Yeah, pretty liberal. Much more than here. Definitely, I'd say that.
Yeah.
But you have your nationalists there. They have a group called AFD, far right. And I'd say their hostility is largely towards the Middle Eastern community.
Immigrants, right?
Yeah. And in Germany, immigrants are people that look like me. You know, I'm not an immigrant. Technically, I'm an American immigrant. But people that come from Turkey, Syria, Afghanistan, you have Eastern Europeans like Romanians and so forth. But really, it's the Middle Eastern community that comes, and they also have their far right, Muslim. But you also have that in Spain, where you have a far right leader that's becoming, I think he just got elected, or he's going to become elected. You have far right. The Muslim situation in Europe is probably more similar to how in the United States there's hostility towards Latin Americans and African Americans. I think, but because in Germany, for example, you don't have African Americans, Latin Americans like you do here.
Sure.
Over there, you have the Middle Eastern community, and some of them are very strong, devout Muslims, and they do not want to embrace the European culture. So I think that's where you have the clash, where you got the far right German nationalists who's like, why'd you come to my country if you're not going to disrespect our culture? And then you have let's say the Turkish person, devout Muslim, they're there for economic purposes. And there's that clash, and that clash is going to get worse. I think you're going to see that not just in Germany and America, in more than one country, man. The economies are getting wrecked. Disruption, technology, AI. I think you're going to start seeing that, man. I think one of the best things for an American to do is find another country. Doesn't have to be the UAE. You don't have to go to a rich country. It could be Dominican Republic. It could be a country like
Southeast Asia or something like that.
Bali, yeah.
Exactly. You know, there's something where you have an exit strategy. You buy a lot of land. Hey, worst comes to worst, that's your insurance policy.
Yeah.
I think that's a foolish mistake to just bet everything on the United States, man. Because I don't think the very rich people are doing that.
So then what's your long term plan? Because you stay here a couple
Yep.
months, you
Yep.
do travel obviously, but then you have your home in Germany. Long term, what is it? Because you also chose to have your daughter in Germany. That was on purpose, or
Yeah, well, my daughter was born in Germany. It is on purpose, just because my wife speaks German fluently. My parents are divorced, unfortunately. I didn't have the luxury of having two parents. I wish I did. You know, holidays come, birthdays come. I didn't have that luxury of both my parents are there. But my wife's parents are together. 39 years, they just celebrated their anniversary.
wow, congratulations.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I admire the father a lot. Like, man, he's a second father to me, you know? So I like being close to him. And my mother-in-law is the sweetest, like, person in the world. And she's just a great grandmother, Oma, you know? And then the sister-in-law I have is great. And then the great-grandmother. So all the cousins, everyone's so close.
Yeah.
And then the baby can grow up around everyone. If we live in New York, it's like isolation. We live in the United States, in any city, it's isolation. Like maybe I have one parent that'll come by.
True.
It's just not the same. So just for my family, for my daughter, I do it in Germany. Now, this is all going to end for me anyway, because once my daughter goes to school, I'll be spending even more of my year in Germany. I think in my situation, that's the main reason why I'm in Germany. But do I love the healthcare system there more? I do. And do I love the schooling there more? I do. And do I think it's safe? I don't have anxiety in Germany about my wife and daughter walking down the street. Here I have anxiety. When I'm in South Beach, I just gave up my home in South Beach, but one, you know, I have anxiety. You know, I have anxiety. I have anxiety. Like literally, I get like anxiety. I get stressed, paranoid, but I get stressed. And the longer I've been in Germany, the more stress I get when I come to the United States because I realize how desensitized I was when I lived in America to violence, gun violence, people going into the store, robberies. You just become completely desensitized.
It's
Yeah.
normal.
It's like no, yeah, just normal day.
I think
In fact, I'm sorry to cut you off. Not too long ago, like during spring break, like it was mayhem in South
yeah,
Beach.
yeah.
Where I was working, right next door, there's a restaurant. Someone was stabbed right outside the restaurant in the middle of the night. Down the street, a week before, someone was shot on Ocean Drive, up 2 blocks away from my job. And it's like, what the hell is happening?
That's fucking terrible.
Like that is now the norm. And instead of me being at that time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, oh, spring break.
Yeah.
Duh. I'm surprised there's only one person.
Yeah.
You know? That's kind of where we're at now.
I think I was overseas when that happened. I remember telling my wife and I think my dad, like, that's crazy. That's happening. Like walking distance from where the home is. And now when I look back on everything, I'm just like, man, no way I'd want to be like downtown Miami, South Beach, Miami. I just would want to be somewhere like now I think Coral Gables. Yeah, now I think Boca Raton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Boca Raton. Like could you imagine? I never thought I'd say Boca Raton.
Yeah.
That's not even Miami.
No.
You know what I mean? But why would I want to go? Just because I would have less stress with my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you have a woman when she's walking down the street, she's just like in another world. You know, a lot of women, I think a lot of guys have girlfriends or wives like this. Like they're walking down the street, the fucking mind is in another world. You know, like you're not paying attention to something going on. Like, yo, this guy's gonna fucking rock us with a knife or something. You know, but wake up. You know?
Like, yeah, it sounds
You know,
like my girl.
That's I don't even think that's a New York thing. You guys are Miami guys. You understand me.
Yeah.
It's just street smart. You know?
100%.
So
Gotta be alert.
yeah.
Always looking.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you want to know what? I was telling Chris earlier in the car, once you got a wife, once you got a little boy, once you got a little girl, you're not there. So the fear that you have when you're alone, you guys are athletic men. You can handle yourself. But if an athletic guy goes after your wife and little kid, you're not there. How you gonna live with yourself knowing that they got hurt, robbed?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I could live with myself, and I think I would more not live with myself if I If it was something out of my control, I can live with it. You know, for example, if I don't get my blood urine checked, my stool checked, if I don't do some preventative cancer screenings, if I don't see what my blood sugar is like, if I'm not checking what my gut microbe is like, if I'm not checking my blood pressure, all these things, right? If I'm not doing these sorts of things and I die from one of these things, and one reason I died was because I didn't go get checked. That's hard for me to die knowing that because I died being irresponsible and a coward. My daughter will one day maybe realize her father was not there because he was a coward and he was irresponsible. But if I'm responsible and I'm brave and I do all my checks, and then something happens out of my control, you know, I die in a plane crash. I get a heart attack one day. I don't know. I just get one. Fuck. Okay. Well, then maybe something happened that it was out of my control. I don't know. But if you're getting those checkups and you're catching things early, especially with all the technology we got today, there's no reason. Like one thing, my mom survived breast cancer over 5 years ago. And when my mom survived it, she was out of shape. She wasn't in the best shape. She was going through something. She was a little down. I remember going with my mom. She went to a dietitian, get some advice. It was scary. It's my mom. Now, over 5 years later, my mom is like 68. She survived. Wow. And she's more energetic than I've ever seen my mom my whole life. She's healthier than I've ever seen my mom in her life. She exercises, she eats well, she watches her carbohydrate intake every day to like 50 grams or less, and she gets medical checkups. And if she wasn't like that, to get her medical checkups, maybe she wouldn't be here to be a grandmother to my daughter. So when I look at my mom, I'm like, okay, how do I survive? Get medical checkups. Medical checkups is just as important, I think, as exercise and eating right.
100%.
You're flying blind, bro, if you're not getting medical checkups. And I'm not just talking about fucking blood and urine once a year, a physical. Fuck that. More than that, man.
Yeah.
And do it more than once a year. Like, for me, I had an issue with my bladder. I want to get my bladder checked, 4 occasions a year. For example, there's this company called Prenova. Okay. It's about $3,000. You go in this thing. I think it's an MRI. I think my friend did it. It checks for like 500 cancers.
Oh, I've heard of those things.
They got it in Boca Raton.
That's crazy.
Now, $3,000 is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
But wait 5-10 years from now, as I was telling Chris, when it becomes affordable, how many more people can live longer with this sort of technology that's coming out? AI is changing. AI is going to disrupt healthcare, man. In the next 5-10 years, this is probably the best. Like our kids or your kids, like once they turn 10, 15, they're not going to be seeing the stuff that we're seeing. It's like when I was 16 years old in high school, getting HIV AIDS was
like a death sentence.
Yeah, but now it's a chronic illness that's manageable.
Yeah.
Like you could literally live 30 more years, 40 more years with AIDS, bro. You fucking imagine this shit? You would have told me this in 1993? In 1993, getting AIDS, that's a death sentence. Mm-hmm. In 2023, getting AIDS, that's a chronic illness that's managed. Imagine what's coming out in the next 5-10 years with AI, immunotherapy, the technology to detect cancers and other illnesses, chronic illnesses earlier. It's a great. After 10 more years, you're really like, there's just so much coming out, man. I'm very optimistic about healthcare.
Even think about like just to piggyback off of the healthcare thing. Think about cancer having a tumor. The people think like, well, you just have to keep trying different chemotherapies. Real rich people who have money, people who have access to the resources, the medical physicians, they take a piece of the tumor. This is what they do when you have money. They take a piece of the tumor, cut it up in dozens of pieces, and each piece they'll treat with a different type of chemo.
Test it for whatever specific chemo is going to kill that without harming the rest of the
and when they find whatever specific chemo or treatment would work for that particular tumor, that's what they would apply to you. So you're already saving yourself weeks, months, years of
Trial and
potential trial and error stuff that would fucking kill you, that might not even do anything to that particular tumor. So, but guess what? It's super expensive because they have to cut it up. They have to send it to a
I
lab.
know where you heard this.
Where
I think Tristan Tate said this.
I
I think I sent it to you.
he may have said something like that. I know I could know someone who has cancer. She's gone through this process, and she's told me like the game is changing. And so now in the US it's inaffordable. But like you were saying, in 10, 15, 20 years, that might not be the case anymore.
You think so, or do you think it'll just kind of be?
They might gatekeep the whole thing and say,
For
well,
profits.
because, and that's the whole thing. Like you said, X-ray, you said MRI could be $3,000. Does it cost that much, or is that what they're charging? Right. So it's like a lot of these things they want to keep at a high fucking margin where they can charge people because people need it. People want to get it done. They're willing to pay $3,000. When in reality, maybe it could only cost $300.
See, I thought this. My thinking has evolved on it, and I'll explain why. I do think pharmaceutical industry, yes. So it's like, yes, the pharmaceutical industry, maybe they wouldn't want to do it because they lose a customer. They lose like it's like a monthly membership, right?
Sure,
That you load up on the pills every month for the rest of your fucking life. That's a monthly customer.
Yeah.
That's like a Netflix subscription, right?
Yeah.
Same business model, right? But do I think other industries will want to disrupt it? Yeah. So for example, Grail, I think it's called Grail. There's like this new sort of test where it's like, I forgot the name, but it's like several cancers in one blood test. So you go somewhere, you get one blood test, and they check for like maybe 50 cancers,
Yeah.
one drop blood. And I think now maybe it costs like $1,000 or something. But they're talking about how can we drop that price. So the idea that now we're coming up with testing where you can test several cancers with one test. That's just something I don't think necessarily it might have existed.
Yeah, innovation.
Yeah, even the technologies that we have now that didn't exist 5 years ago, right? But to your earlier point, I see that. I'm very excited about personalized, using AI and like a personalized approach to your specific body, coming up with treatment.
Pretty cool.
Let me ask you, because
Yeah,
did this happen now that you have your daughter, that you brought her into this world, that you're like, man, I'm on this like mission of longevity and like wellness? Because I mean, you look great. You could tell that you look younger, really. Like your face is slimmer. You could tell that you're more energetic. We were talking a little bit on the way over. We kind of had a similar experience with like eating healthier, cutting out processed foods, almost to the point that we panicked. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna disappear.
Yeah.
But it was all this because of, your daughter came into this world, and you're like, man, because the truth is, you're 40, you're 42, still young, still taking care of yourself, and by doing that, you're gonna live longer. All this because of your daughter, where it kind of woke you up to make the change?
Yeah, I think I had an issue with my bladder, and my daughter was born, and I got married, and I lost my grandmother. Like, like all these things happen in like 12 months roundabout. And it was a situation where I dug deep, and I think being alive I want to see my daughter get married, man.
Yeah.
And I think after that 12 months of my life, which I never had a 12 months like that in my life, I'll be honest with you. One reason I have an affinity for Germany is I feel like the German doctors saved my life. And if they didn't save my life, they definitely prolonged it. But I feel a debt to the German doctors, also the German doctors who, helped me become a dad. My wife had a complication with the pregnancy. A German doctor helped my wife. So I do feel a debt to that country in that sense. But yeah, man, being alive now is another story. Being alive now is another story, man. Like, I want to stay alive.
Yeah.
I want to do the right thing. Working out at the gym is great. Eating healthy is great. You see guys on Instagram, they're doing all the right things. Their body looks great. But if they're taking supplements that may be harming their body and they get a liver issue, a heart attack, and they die in their 40s, that ain't cool.
What's the point? Yeah.
They look muscular. Or the guy that's smoking cigarettes He looks great, but he's might fuck around and get lung cancer. You know, at 48. So like now, I rather actually be healthy. We're talking about the gut microbe
Yeah.
and like looking at your stool, examining your stool, getting your stool checked. But like, what's actually going on in your gut microbe? I don't care necessarily about being the most muscular guy. I want to just be. I do think being lean is important. Keeping that body mass index low, that waist circumference low, checking your blood pressure, and then also making sure your blood sugar, glucose, insulin levels low. If you're not doing these things, or a good amount, if you're not doing these things, you look great. Yeah, you look great, man. You look great. But you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're smoking, you're asking for an illness, man.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, cool. You made it to the other side. But a lot of people won't make it to the other side. When I see older people now, and I'm like, man, they're eating like shit, and they're fat, right? No, but really, when I see them, I think to myself, that's a lucky motherfucker, man, because I'm sure not everyone that was like that made it that far. Yeah, it's like you made it through. Two of your boys did, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I was at a mall just the other day, and as I was walking, I saw two men. One guy, they're about the same age. One guy's in a wheelchair, and the other guy was walking his friend. And I thought to myself, dang, that's a good friendship, man. And I could tell when they were walking, I was looking at him, and I thought, fuck, man, you could tell they're talking about like 50 years ago, or they're probably talking about how, life was when they were in their 20s or 30s. Now they're in their 70s, 80s, and they're in the last chapter. They're in the winter of their life. So, yeah, man. Like one guy maybe took care of himself a little bit better than the other. He's still able to walk. The other one isn't. Peter Attia, the doctor guy.
Yeah.
He talks about, the one concept I learned from him was this notion of like the last 10 years of your life. Like, how's the last 10 years of your life? Your last 10 years of your life, you're struggling, suffering like a fucking dog, or the last 10 years of your life, you're able to move around, you have some agility, some flexibility, still got energy.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the last 10 years of my life with a fucking tube inside my dick. You know what I mean? No, but really, because I can't go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well,
you know, and I got a tube inside my dick. I got a tube inside my fucking stomach for shitting, and I'm in bed.
Yeah. There's no quality of life. What the fuck is the point?
Yeah. It's not even fun at that point.
No.
Or I'm in a wheelchair, I can barely move, or I'm in bed, I can't get out of bed. I can't go to the bathroom, take a shower. Something as simple as the last 10 years of my life, I can't go to the bathroom, take a shit, wash my ass, take a shower, urinate by myself without a tube. Like, I don't want to spend the last 10 years.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck that
You
shit.
gotta paint that picture.
Yeah. But you take care of yourself now, hey, you could maybe avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're on a similar mission, and we were talking about it on the way over here, because, like, for me, we're 30.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have kids. You don't have kids, not that we know. And obviously, the goal. the goal, I mean, obviously would be to one day have kids. And so I already know that, for example, if I were to have a kid tomorrow, me at 30, by the time they're 10 years old, I'm already 40. By the time they're 20, I'm 50. Like, if I don't do the work now, it's only going to get harder once I'm older. It's not going to get easier at this point, So if I don't do the work now, I can't expect me to still to feel great about, my health, or to be agile, like you were saying, kind of feel healthy. I know that's not going to happen, but it all takes now. So that's why, like, eating healthy, making sure you get your exercises in, you fast. We were talking about a little bit about fasting and the benefits that it does.
Yeah.
Because, of course, like, if you can live a long, healthy life and you have the opportunity to, why not? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about you two having kids, so you two, how long you guys have been in relationships?
Perfect. Yeah, great way to transition to. I've been officially 2 years. I've met my now current girlfriend 2020, but we seriously started dating 2021, early 2021. So like 2 years, not 2.5 years. I do want kids, and this is a great conversation because I wanted to ask you for advice because what do you yeah, because what do you think, like give us some advice for somebody. We're in our 30s, we don't have kids, but we aren't financially in the position to have children, which I think is, I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, I don't know if you agree, but that's one of the biggest obstacles because kids are a big financial responsibility, right?
And then they say, "Oh, you'll figure it out," or "You never know. No one's ever ready.
I know,
You just
yeah,
gotta.
yeah,
It'll happen. You'll be ready when it happens." But I feel like you can also kind of be better prepared.
yeah.
Have things in order
That's
before.
right. Like, it's like I know you won't always be ever completely ready, but that doesn't mean I can't. I don't want to.
I can barely afford myself, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what it is.
So then, why would I jump into this whole commitment? That's a lifelong commitment, essentially.
Well, technically, you don't have to.
Why? What?
No, look, he's 42 years young. His senorita, younger.
Yeah. Well, in your situation, it makes sense, but our girlfriends are our age, so
Yeah.
we're kind of fucked.
How long you been with your girl?
Man. I've known so officially we've been together since February of 2022, so of last year. We rekindled the year before that, 2021. And she had just gotten out of a relationship, and so I was just kind of like taking it slow, trying to see to make sure that like we were serious this time. The reason being, I've known her since kindergarten. So we went to kindergarten together. We went to different schools in elementary school. She was actually my kindergarten crush. Pretty crazy.
Wow.
Then in college, we went to the same college. Went to FIU, and then that's when we kind of. I saw her again. I'm like, holy shit! Like I remember you from fucking elementary school.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is this? And we kind of dated here and there, but it wasn't serious. I was in college. We were both in college, eating shit, whatever. And then fast forward to recently, she was in a relationship for 4 years. They had broken up, and then we started talking in 2021, officially 2022. So that's kind of our story. I guess dating officially,
Yep.
last year or two, but history since kindergarten, since 1990 something.
A while.
Yeah.
Hey, you do have chemistry with her, though. I can tell.
She's like my best friend.
She is your best friend.
Yeah, she's like my best. Yeah, she probably is my best friend. Oh, you're one of my best friends too. But it's like, because it's funny, because before you would like when I was in relationships, I would like hang out with my boys, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me get away from my girl. I want to hang out with the boys.
Yeah.
But now like I'm like, fuck these guys. I just want to hang out with my girl.
Yeah.
Chilling. So it's like I look forward to it.
That's how I feel at night, like on a Friday, Saturday night. I'm like, man, I got my daughter, my wife. I'm like, man,
That's all you need.
yeah, that's all. I'm like already perfect VIP. For me, that's
Yeah. I'm in VIP section.
like, and it's quiet. Like I'm like, I don't. This is it. I'm right here. I'm right where is the VIP club, the VIP part of the club that no one else can come into. It's literally just us three. That's
Very,
like
very
raw.
exclusive.
But when you think about it, though, as an older man, I talking about this shit, like every man has a moment in their lives when they think, is the woman I'm dating the right one for me or not? My young nephew once was drowning in my pool, and my girlfriend at the time immediately jumped in and gave him mouth-to-mouth CPR.
So who is this?
My girlfriend. She saved his life. And that was the point that I realized, that was the moment that she was a hoe. And she was for the streets. She was way too excited to make out with that.
Make out?
South of King rule number 190. Never date a whore.
Oh my God.
It's really, I can't do this with you guys anymore, man. I can't do
I thought you were going somewhere. I'm like, well, okay,
I can't, like,
this is a moment.
Because you wait for it, then it's just kind of like.
but I can't do it with you guys, man.
Oh man, that was a good one.
Thanks,
I
man.
like that one.
I know. Like, it's the first one, man. But you know what? Fuck, man. You guys, it's your facial expressions.
No, it's
All
just
right,
like
where are we going? Let's go.
It's just, you know what, man? It, it is cliche, but you guys will figure it out. It is cliche. It is cliche. It is. You'll be surprised, man. You will be surprised how well you'll adjust to it. It's impossible for me to tell you. It's so simple that they've simplified that.
you think it's almost instinctual. Maybe did something
Yes.
maybe like yeah.
For me to teach you how it is to have sex with a woman, right? Know what I'm saying? Like, unless you have sex with a woman, you're not gonna know,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Or for me to teach you how to swim, you're not in the water. How can I teach you? It's like we can talk about it in a book, but for me to teach you how to swim, it's impossible
You have
unless
to
you're in the
actually, you have
water.
to feel it. You have to get in.
Yeah, and I really do think that when you become a dad, from what I've gotten to know both of you, I do think that you're gonna have that like 9 month runway where you're gonna start preparing for it,
Yeah.
and then once it happens,
Oh, true.
you know, I think once you guys find out my prediction is with both of you, once you find out your daughter, I mean, you have a child coming. Let's say it's 2 months in, 1 month in. Okay, fine. You got 8 or 7 months. I think both of you two, you're going to start thinking about it right away. It's like you're going to age like 10 years of maturity. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that for sure, and people have even said it. Just last week we did a street interview, and someone was like, having kids, like it just brings the best out of you.
Yes.
And I can see how could that good be. Maybe it is instinctual because now you know you have to provide for somebody other than yourself. You have to make it work. So maybe that's part of we're wired that way. So like, yeah, it's scary to have children, but when you actually are in the process of becoming and having a child, in terms of becoming a father and having a child, maybe it's just like a light switch. Maybe it just works itself out. So I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not in a rush to have children. I could wait another, I don't know, few years.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. But I'm also excited to bring another human into this world.
Put it like this, bro. I didn't know I was going to have a daughter when I did. But now that I do, I wish I would have started earlier.
You think
That's
so?
what they. You're not the only person that I've heard say that. I've heard other people say that too. It's like, man, I wish didn't wait so long.
It's because it's the greatest experience of my life.
But I've also heard it the other way, where people say, "I wish they would have waited a little bit longer." So I guess that's more anecdotal than anything.
I'm 42 though. I've
Well,
really waited long.
You couldn't. Well, you could have waited longer, but I think that's. I mean, you're a guy too. It's a little bit different for men.
True.
Like you're healthy, you're fit. Let's
Take
say
care of yourself.
exactly.
Thanks, yeah, but
So by the time your daughter is 18, you'll be almost 59 or something like that, right? 59 or
Yeah.
almost 60.
Yeah.
But if you take care of yourself, that you'll be good. You can still have another 20 years to live after she's 18. So if you take care of yourself, God willingly, hopefully,
Yeah, thank you.
it'll all work out, And so, some people say, well, I wish I would have waited less. Other people say, I wish I would have waited more. And I don't think there's a right answer for it. I think the number one, but the biggest thing is to be with the right person to have a child with to begin with, which it sounds like you have an amazing partner. You're in a really healthy marriage relationship, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty good marriage.
Yeah,
But even with our pretty good marriage, it takes work.
certainly.
Yeah, we definitely. I mean, you've been with your lady for a while. Like, we definitely try to catch ourselves.
You don't know what?
Yeah.
You got something to say, bro?
No, I'm listening.
No, we catch ourselves, and like if we drift off from like our mission statement, so to speak, not mission, like a piece of paper in
Like,
our home, but
You go home, it's like a fucking.
we don't have anything like that. But like we have certain ideals, principles of our relationship,
I like
ethos.
that. I like that.
And I think that whenever we drift off, we come back.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, so it works for us, whenever we drift off. And one thing that we prioritize, my wife and I, is our relationship, not just our daughter.
Very important.
Yeah, so like not losing our relationship because we're infatuated with our daughter. She's infatuated, I'm we're both in love with our daughter, but we still have our relationship.
Very important.
Very, man. Especially once you have and you know what? Like the way you talked about, your lady, very nice lady since you've known since kindergarten. But once you get her pregnant And once you watch her, you know, make you a dad, and once you're in bed with your infant, like it's gonna take like you're gonna basically fall in love with her again, the way you did
In kindergarten?
kindergarten. Remember me saying this, man. It's so deep. It's so fucking deep. I think when you first fell in love with your girl, I fell in love with my wife again, and I fell in love with my daughter, and now my wife fell in love with my daughter. Now it's like three of us.
Wow, that's very special.
You know,
A lot of love going
There's
on.
a lot of
a
love.
lot of, and that's how I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
And it's like my wife and I with love. I was loyal to my. I don't cheat on my wife. I never cheat on my wife. And years, I've only been with one woman. This is really true. I don't believe in adultery. You know, I really have strong views on that. So I wear this ring, and you know, when I see women, you know, we went to a restaurant. I saw the lady, the bartender. I thought she was, thought she was an attractive woman. But you know what? Boom. Keeps me focused.
Mhm.
Yeah, it keeps me focused, man. This is one of the best hacks to staying loyal. Helps me remember what's important.
Interesting.
You know, so for and it's true. It really is true. Like, so with my wife, my daughter, we made my daughter with love. You know, my wife and I made our daughter with love. It wasn't some, oh yeah, I was acting like a degenerate drunk. You know, I just fucked some girl. She was acting like a whore that night. You know, then she told me 2 months later she's pregnant. No. Her mommy and daddy loved each other. They got married. Her daddy was only with her mother for years.
I love that.
You know, that's my daughter. I want my daughter to say, my dad cheated on my mom. And then what? Then what? Then my daughter will say, I deserve a man that'll cheat on me. My own dad fucking cheated on my mom. Fuck that.
Oof.
That is true.
Imagine my daughter. Imagine if I cheat on my wife and my daughter says, yeah, my dad used to cheat on my mom. Hey, come on.
You're her first impression of what a man is supposed to be like,
Yeah.
and then she finds out that you were a dirtbag, running behind her mother, your wife, and fucking around with other women. What precedence does this set, right? And so if you say, well, I have a daughter and I want the best life for her, I want her to have the best relationships, whether it's platonic, whether it's romantic, whatever. How can you go and then do certain things that will kind of tarnish that experience, right? That tarnish her view on men. So I think that is something that you have to be very much accountable to. you know?
No, I agree, man.
Yeah, and they say one. We had Leslie here. She was a
Yeah.
licensed mental health counselor. And she
Mhm.
specialized with children, and we had talked about how the greatest gift that you can give your children is a healthy relationship with your partner, because then they're literally just absorbing everything, all the love that you have for your significant other. So now, as your child is being raised and growing and almost mirroring you guys, she is now taking in literally verbatim what a healthy relationship should be, and it's coming from the people who love her most.
Mhm.
So now if anything, that's going to help her emulate that to look for a man with those qualities. We have Dr. Hasty on. Says the same thing. He's also a psychologist, a professor in I think Miami-Dade.
Mhm.
And yeah, he was big on that too. He's very big on, you know, like, it's me and my wife. My wife comes before my child. But that's because as we grow older, eventually my child would leave, but I'm still going to have my significant other, which is my wife,
Correct.
because we're the ones that made the child. So it's almost like you have to always be nurturing your relationship within your significant other, because when you lose that, eventually your child will leave you, and, you know, she will marry. And then where are you now?
Yeah.
You lost your significant other who was there to create that for you. So I feel like it's also very important that you constantly nurture your relationship, because that's how you guys got there in the first place.
Oh, you were saying that?
No, it's been great talking to you
I
guys.
love it. I love it. I think we're gonna start slowly
Yeah,
have to wrap
yeah,
it up.
yeah,
I do have. We
Well-
have a. Can I bring up the questions that we've had?
If you want to, yeah, let's do a few.
Yeah, I have it. I have it put aside. We'll be quick. We're coming out with a
Oh.
card game. It's called The Basics. It's literally to your right. It's right there. And I have a couple of questions that I want to ask, and I think it'll be a good way to kind of close off this session
Yeah.
with you. And first of all, thank you so much for joining us here. I think this was really, really insightful, and you're a great inspiration, man. I thank you so much for coming on. I am very humbled for you to be here.
Yeah, it's always nice to actually bring you on to bring your wisdom and also your kind of your knowledge to it. You're very well spoken. You're very intellectual. So we're not only do we learn and we get some education out of this, but we also get very very good conversation of just life. You really brought in a lot of kind of what to expect and how to prepare for the future and just a way of thinking. So every single time you come on, it's almost a blessing, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. So
Thanks, man.
I'm gonna ask. It's 3 questions.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so really
Yeah.
quick, what he was saying. So we created the basics. So essentially, being that we started with a relationship podcast, our goal is to almost try to find security within each individual for them to be happy within themselves. Hopefully, that will then find the partner that's going to make them happy as well. But then once you do, what kind of conversation should we be having in order to maximize the communication and kind of make it seamless to nurture the relationship moving forward? So we created the basics, which is, again, basic questions that you'd want to ask, but they're the questions that you should be asking. Now, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite number? What's your favorite day out of the week? Bullshit. So we designed these 50 questions out of the game. We pulled out a little bit, and we're hoping that you can kind of give us some insight of these questions. So
Yeah.
Marvin, would you like to go?
Perfect. I'll go with the first one. Okay. Speaking of children, how long do you think people should wait before having kids? Say you started dating, you're together. Is there a time frame?
I mean, if someone gets married and they wait, if they decide to wait till they get married, I can respect that.
Okay.
So if someone waits till they get married, I can respect that.
Do you think there's certain things that they need to be doing before?
I had sex with my wife about 6-7 weeks after.
After you met her?
We talked a lot too before I did. So I'm happy.
Really? And then so when did you guys get married afterwards? Like what was the time frame?
That was like years later.
You got married years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we it was a while, man. We just kept going and going. But it took I didn't have sex with her like the first week, second week.
All right. Interesting. Okay.
And how did you guys when you found out that you guys were pregnant? How was that for you? How did you feel when you heard that? Was it planned or was it like a?
I didn't actually think I didn't think I could get my wife pregnant. After a while, I started thinking like, after all the women I fucked, especially raw, I was thinking I just can't get a girl pregnant. I really start thinking I just can't get a girl pregnant. I was just thinking I cannot have a child.
Damn, so for years you've been busting deep
Yeah.
in them
Nuts
guts
left and right.
without a care in the world.
I was like a woman that wanted to get pregnant. I wanted to get a girl pregnant for years.
Yeah, man was like on a
Fucking
mission.
shooting
right.
fucking
Yeah.
loads all over.
Yeah, like purposely inside exploding, like not taking it out. A girl I would just meet like 2 hours before at a New York nightclub,
Oh my god.
just like a maniac, fucking raw. But
Oh.
so finally, when I did get my wife pregnant, after years of being with her and trying, but then giving up, thinking I can't do it. When I was like, wow,
Oh,
I'm gonna be a
shit.
dad.
Shit, dude.
I felt like it was like the greatest day, greatest moment. But in that period, I also lost my grandma, man,
Yeah.
who was about 91.
I remember that time. Yeah, you had said
You
it
told
last
us,
time.
yeah.
Interesting. You lost something, but you've also gained something great. It's kind of
The same
essence of
thing
life.
too, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what life is all about.
My grandma saw my wife pregnant belly about 3-4 months, and you know what? That was the last point I watched my grandma smile, and she smiled one more time, and that was when she touched my wife's belly, and she knew she would actually become a great grandma, because she's not a great grandma. She never became a great grandma. She would have been a great grandma if she would have lived just a few more months. But at least she smiled with happiness and joy when she touched my wife's stomach. It was a great send off.
Oh man, how amazing, dude.
That's a great. I guess a great way to go.
Few weeks later, she died,
Yeah.
passed away. But that was a great send off.
Yeah.
That was a great
Respect.
send off.
All right, one more. What are some core values you would want to teach your children, your daughter? Core values.
Core values. I think it's interesting. As macho as I talk, I'll probably train my daughter to be a pretty hard feminist because I don't want guys to push my daughter around.
Okay.
Uh, but I think she already is. I think she's very tough. So
She's a tough cookie.
I think she took my personality in some ways. Yeah, but she has my wife's adorable cuteness. But she took my personality. I think she's tough, and she's very tough. I think she's gonna be tough. I was telling my dad this. I think my daughter's gonna be very tough on the man she's with.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta teach them young.
Yeah,
Young,
yeah,
young.
yeah. And I would say that the main principles though is probably one big principle is aside from integrity is humility. I never want my daughter to feel better than a disabled person, better than a person who's overweight. I want my daughter to always be sensitive to a person that's overweight. Yeah, they should get healthier. Yes, definitely get healthier. But don't laugh at the person. You know, don't laugh at the person that's disabled. Don't ridicule them, and do the right thing. And if someone's homeless and someone's poor, don't make fun of a classmate because they can't get the most expensive clothes. You know, little
Mm.
things like that. Humility. You know,
Be kind.
I love that.
Yeah,
There's not
like
enough kindness in this world.
yeah, like when you see somebody at the restaurant and the guy can't speak English, be patient.
Right.
Be patient because that guy might have lost his mom. His mom had a heart attack. He has his father's there with five of his brothers and another country, and he's sending the little bit of money he makes, and he's working 16 hours a day, 25 days in a row before he gets one day off. You don't know what that guy went through. So just be humble. I hope I think humility is going to be a big thing.
I like that. That's very great. One last thing, we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
What's the accomplishment you're most proud of?
I am most proud of the fact that I got this beautiful girl, and I got her.
Yeah, I saw
'Cause
that one.
I figured he's gonna.
Bro, I worked so hard for it. So many years, it felt like it wasn't gonna happen. So, listen, man, money's good, man. Like, but after you hit a certain point, like it's like even 10,000 a month. Really, like at that point, you've hit a lot of the things, man.
Yeah.
And if you have health, you have your family. It's such a cliche, but it's still so true. It's like a classic wisdom, man. You got your health, which you appreciate once you don't have your health. And you got your family, which you appreciate when you don't. I got to think about health, for example. I appreciate my health more after I got sick.
Yeah.
Now that I'm here right now, I feel fucking great in a way I never would have felt before. When my wife and daughter were in Germany for about 3 weeks longer than me before we came to the United States, I missed them. Now after this, I go back, I see my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Fuck, happy about that. And then a prayer before I go to bed. So my health, my family, my relationship with God, and these things are the deepest sources of happiness, man. Money is not. I don't check every day how much money I made. I don't give a fuck, man. It really, it's not. It's at this point, it's not something that really moves me. I have an online trading education business for one business I have. I was talking to you guys how we lost a bunch of customers after the economic cycle, crypto, and everything. We're still doing much better than many competitors, let's say. But it is what it is. And it's not. I'm still doing what I would want to do, basically. Um, if I'm lending money in real estate, maybe the deals slow up one quarter. Maybe one quarter they speed up. Maybe I'm financing more deals. Maybe one quarter I'm not financing any deals. I don't know. It's about my health. That's something that'll rock you.
True.
Like the adage of like, you don't have a problem if money can fix it. Right? It's true. You realize that when you're in the hospital and you see the nurse. The nurse makes, let's say, 30,000, 50, 60, 70,000, whatever. A rich man can look at that nurse and think, that nurse can walk around and can go home tonight. here's the old guy. He's not going home tonight. He got fucking things in his thing. I was in Naples, Florida. True story. I was in Naples, Florida, and I saw this beautiful jet, private jet. Guy was taking it from Naples to New York. Guy made, I guess, 100 million or 50 million selling a technology to tractor trailer companies. And I was speaking to the guy who was his broker. And when I saw him come out, he was an overweight man, maybe in his 70s, big belly, and he looked very sad. And I said, "What's up with that guy?" He's like, "Man, he has a heart issue and he has a back issue. He's about to go get surgery." He looked very sad. Here's this guy that's about to spend, let's say, $30,000 on a private jet to go from Florida to New York. But you think he wouldn't wish he could be a younger guy and healthy?
Yeah.
His money can't fix that problem, maybe. Maybe it's too late for him at that point. I don't know. And I asked him recently, about a few months later, I asked the broker, because I like to occasionally take jets. I'm not showing off, just saying. I'm not sure. It's very distasteful and trashy. That was not my point.
No.
Genuinely. And I said to him, I said, what happened to the guy? He's like, he's not doing well. Think how much that guy wishes he could just be healthy.
Yeah.
Live in an apartment in a middle-class neighborhood. Make a middle-class income. You think he doesn't wish he had that problem? I wish I could be 30 years old making $70,000 a year living in a middle-class neighborhood, but I fucking wish I could have that guy's health. I'd give all my money to have that guy's health. What's the point if he's going to die? And you know what?
Yeah.
And my last point, as men, no matter how much other men tell you this, who've seen the Grim Reaper, the men who are older than you, who've seen the Grim Reaper, who've seen mortality, who've seen the morbidity, who've seen death, who've been in a hospital, who've seen it. They've seen they're not invincible.
Yeah.
They see how fragile life is. They can come back and tell the younger men this. But it's impossible for you to really understand it until you've had your virginity stripped from you and you see how serious it is. But for those of you who can learn, you're not invincible. Take care of your body. Take care of your health on the inside. Not Instagram, not just Instagram fitness. No, your gut fitness.
Yeah.
What people don't see fitness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, we're all going to die, but you don't want to die young for something that could have been avoided or prevented or treated.
Very well said. Thank you so much, man. You brought some really great perspective and some great insight. They say a healthy person has 1,000 wishes, a sick person only has one. It's to be better. That's a good way to close it off.
That's a great way.
Okay.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man. It's really cool. I feel like I'm coming home.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, brother.
Second time, but won't be the last one, man. We'd love to maybe catch up maybe sometime next year.
Who knows, man? We got to fly out to Germany and do an episode over there.
Yeah.
That'd be
We'll
cool.
do one in somewhere in Germany. Oh,
That would be cool.
Actually.
Yeah, we were talking about it, actually.
Yeah, we'll make it
I'd
happen.
host you guys. I'd host you guys.
Man,
Yeah.
I'd host you guys.
Say
We'll
less.
take the equipment over.
The camera, yeah.
No, there's studios there.
Okay, yeah. Fuck it, yeah. We'll
fuck
just
it.
show up. Nima, thank you so much. Chris, anything?
No, with that being said, Nima, yeah, thank you, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming back on again.
You did amazing.
Guys.
Very happy.
Until next time.
Peace, guys.